I want to be clear with you all that a new day has come. To San Francisco, to Oakland, to Baltimore, to Ferguson, to Atlanta, there is a movement sweeping this country, and we are not going to stop until you stop killing us.
Shut it down! Shut it down! The time for the middle ground is over.
And that takes us to 8:08 in the morning here on Law and Disorder. I am your host, Kat Brooks. Law enforcement in this country murders approximately 1,300 people every single year. Police in the United States have fatally shot or killed nearly 500 people so far in 2026. Trackers and official databases provide the following breakdown of fatalities, mapping police violence. Reports that police have killed 488 people in the United States so far this year. Wikipedia, the list of killings, tracks 517 deaths nationwide resulting from interactions with U.S. law enforcement officers. With Trump in the White House and a carte blanche given to cops to do whatever they want with zero accountability, my activist crystal ball says we will see these numbers continue to grow. With federal officers on our streets and disappearing people into concentration camps where they are dying, we will also begin to track to the best of our ability the number of ICE-related murders as well. That will be similarly difficult, however, because just like with police killings, there is no official database tracking these deaths once people are held hostage inside of U.S. detention centers. We'll do our best, however. We must. Information is power and critical to building effective strategy and tactics. If we don't know what's happening, then we can't fight back. We can't adequately organize a response. So on Thursdays here on Law and Disorder on KPFA and KPFK, we do our best to bring you a weekly roundup of news related to state violence. We hope this segment serves to expose, agitate, and build. This is the State Terror Roundup for the week of May 25th, 2026. Yesterday, a court in Oakland headed by Judge William Orwick, who has been overseeing the Oakland Police Department's 23-year Federal Oversight program, compared the Oakland Police Department reaching the completion of all 51 tasks given to them 23 years ago by the federal government. The judge compared the completion of these tasks to a sports moment. He compared it to building a Major League Baseball franchise. The judge, the legal say-so for accountability and oversight for the Oakland Police Department, compared the cops getting to a place where they say that OPD is fit to not have any oversight to sports. I mean, for sure, if we're talking about football, OPD definitely has crushed heads, made illegal maneuvers on the field, needed a referee to call foul, intentionally harmed folks on the playing field, and by folks on the playing field, I mean black and brown people in the flats of East and West Oakland. Federal oversight in Oakland, California began because of a case about the Writers, a group of cops who beat, kidnapped, and planted drugs on West Oakland community members. The result of the subsequent lawsuit was the negotiated settlement agreement, or the NSA, right? Federal oversight, because that's actually what the victims of the Writers case wanted. They wanted change in the Oakland Police Department. They were less concerned about financial compensation. They were mostly concerned that no other residents had to endure what they had endured. But see, what they didn't quite understand in that moment or fully comprehend, like many people in this country do not because of the propaganda that is force-fed down our throats every single day, is that policing cannot be fixed because policing is not broken. It is an institution born from violence with a culture that is rooted in violence, and you can never achieve peace with violence, which is why policing, as it's done in this country, will never bring about safety. When I came onto the scene in Oakland in 2007, OPD was one of the most murderous police departments in the state of California. In 2015, 12 years after the negotiated settlement agreement deal was reached, the Oakland Police Department murdered 11 black men with impunity, then under the oversight of former Mayor Libby Schaaf, who did absolutely nothing, zero, zip, zilch, to rein in the police department. In fact, she spent a lot of her time traveling the country with Sean Wendt, talking about how great the OPD was and how much they had improved. Meanwhile, the bodies of black men in the city of Oakland were dropping across the town. Some of these men included Jamaria Hogg, the father of my daughter's best friend in elementary school, and Richard Perkins, a beloved grandson and family member in East Oakland. What was in full swing in 2015, however, was a movement to end state violence that was kicked off with the 2009 struggle for accountability in the murder of Oscar Grant. That struggle has continued over 17 years. The movement to hold police accountable has spread across the United States in the longest sustained period of history, demanding an end to state terror in this country. What what is true is that the Oakland Police Department does not at this moment murder people the way it used to murder people. But see, I work at another organization called the Anti-Police Terror Project, and over there we in the streets every day with Oakland residents, and so we know for a fact that every day our residents are racially profiled, they are physically assaulted, they are verbally assaulted, they are emotionally terrorized, they are arrested for no reason. We know that the Oakland Police Department still acts like bullies inside of the city of Oakland. We know that the city of Oakland pays millions of dollars in overtime because OPD officers are trained to game the system and steal money from Oakland residents. We know that the city of Oakland pays millions of dollars a year in lawsuits for assaults on our people, for violations of human and civil rights. The Federal Oversight program was supposed to last 5 years. It took 23 years to get here. That's laughable. If any other organization that brings in the kind of money that the Oakland Police Department steals from Oakland taxpayers every single year with that kind of result, including the ongoing issues of so-called crime, according to the right, according to the cop enthusiasts, they say that the multi-million-dollar ticket that OPD charges us every year is sufficient. Actually, they say it's insufficient because of the amount of so-called crime we still have. You see the illogical nonsense in that statement? Millions of dollars is never enough, and crime, according to them, never gets better, even though rates of violent crime are actually lower than they've been in decades. Not because of cops, because of the folks. But anyway, when people ask me how I feel about federal oversight ending, I say, it's a mixed bag, because on the one side, you have to wonder about the efficacy that something was supposed to take 5 years, took 23 years, and cost us millions and millions of dollars with streets that are no safer. And on the other hand, I say, well, who's finna watch over the police? Because they still do really, really bad things every single day. The oversight was expensive. It was slow, and it failed to fix the deep-rooted culture of harm inside of the Oakland Police Department, but it was something. It was still a set of eyes on the department. It was documentation at the very least. See, and what I should be able to say to y'all this morning is that it's all right. Federal oversight can go away because, we have a police commission that was put on the ballot not once, but twice. And the second time it was put on the ballot and it won due to overwhelming support by Oaklanders was to strengthen its powers. The Oakland Police Commission is a civilian body with the power to set department policy, discipline the chief, and fire officers for serious misconduct. The Community Police Review Agency, or CIPRA, investigates complaints of police misconduct filed by the public. It's how everyday folks like me and you, can hold officers accountable when harm happens. Both are underfunded. Both are unable to fully do their jobs. That means right now in this city, there is no fully functioning independent body standing between OPD and the people it polices. This ain't right. This ain't acceptable. Removing federal oversight without fully resourcing the commission and CIPRA doesn't just create a gap, it creates a blank check. It tells OPD, hey, ain't nobody watching. And man, you know what happens when nobody's watching. Federal oversight did not happen because OPD made a few mistakes. It happened because the department built a legacy of violence, corruption, and abuse that harmed generations of Oakland residents and continues to harm generations of Oakland residents. See, because trauma rolls downhill to generation after generation after generation after generation. The People's Police Commission, the independent oversight body, what is supposed to be an independent oversight body, is now compromised, tainted, and corrupted, led by two city council people, Kevin Jenkins and Ken Houston, who have been nonstop attacking the commission, including the illegal removal of two of the commission's members that were unanimously selected by the selection panel. That illegal interference has now been compounded by the fact that Barbara Lee's, the mayor's, budget cuts funding for the police commission, which was already, as I mentioned, limited and narrow by upwards of $900,000 in the proposed budget. Folks that want to have a say about that could show up at City Council on June 1st, even though this council has made it clear they don't care what the people they were elected to serve say, but we should probably show up anyway, so it's on the record. Moving on. The peoples in power are now telling the people of Oakland that OPD don't need any oversight, that our right-wing, center-right city council, because every single member on that city council, with the exception of one, is pro-cop, anti-poor. You're telling us that these pro-cop, anti-poor, right-wing, center-right people are the people that are going to oversee OPD and protect us from their violence? See, it's not necessarily the people in policing that are the problem, at least not initially. The problem of policing is the institution of policing, its roots, its culture, the blue wall. It's the fact that it was born to protect the wealthy and their property, which used to be black bodies. not the people. That slogan on the side of their car that says to protect and serve ain't got nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with the people that actually need to be protected and served. Policing is inherently violent. Policing needs accountability. Oakland is headed on a collision course where you have the violence of policing met with absolutely no accountability that's going to collide inside of a society that is rapidly deteriorating in the wake of the spread of fascism, with social services like SNAP benefits, CalFresh benefits being cut, where housing is harder to come by, jobs are harder to attain, people are being pushed into the underground economy, which is making them more desperate, which always leads to more so-called crime. And now we're going to have an unchecked police department that's going to be sent to go deal with hungry, starving, houseless people. And those people are going to be met with violence for trying to survive. And there's going to be nobody, at least nobody in appointed or elected positions, to tell them no. Well, you know what that means, my G's. That means we're going to be back in these streets because it is we who protect us. Perhaps more importantly, out of anything I've said so far, is that over the last 23 years that people have developed response systems that don't rely on police. So we have to get serious about not calling them for anything unless it is absolutely, and I do mean absolutely necessary, which means we don't call police when we're talking about substance overutilization. We don't call police when we're talking about unhoused neighbors in our driveway. We don't call police when we're dealing with domestic violence because we want holistic responses to DV and IPV instead of the violence of the carceral state. We don't call police when people are in mental health crisis. We don't send badges and guns to situations that require care and concern. That's how we save our own people's lives, because clearly the appointed and the electeds don't care about saving our lives. We need to start building a society that no longer relies on the oppressor's tools for our liberation. We will never get free that way. On May 25th, several cities, including, of course, Minneapolis, commemorated the murder of George Floyd. People say that the George Floyd murder created a racial reckoning inside of America. Did you know that police kill more people now than they did before the George Floyd rebellions, when America supposedly had this racial reckoning? A racial reckoning didn't happen. And actually, a racial reckoning is not what we need. A racial reckoning is not what is going to end the practice of the intersection of black and brown bodies and law enforcement agencies too often being a death sentence or a sentence of abuse and terror. What we need is a reckoning with the entire system of capitalism, of racism, of ableism, because all of those things are married. What we need is a complete and total overhaul of what we currently do. We need to reject the oppressor's definition of madness, of crime, of violence, of safety, and they've lost the right to dictate that anyway. What is safe? Because from chattel slavery to that dude in the White House, how can they possibly say anything to anyone about safety? People that care about safety don't own slaves or bomb babies, and they don't beat children. That's actually where we're going next. Next, we are turning our attention to Fairfield, California, where a police officer punched, body slammed, and pulled the hair of a child, a black boy child. It was caught on camera, and the mayor of the city, when the family had something to say about it, called the family and the people outraged about this black baby being beaten by the police officer on a high school campus. The mayor called them haters. That is what the racial reckoning in America looks like in real time, real practice, with real consequences in America. All right, y'all. This has been the State Terror Roundup for the week of May 28th, 2026. Music for the State Terror Roundup provided by Coffee Brown. You can check them out on their website. And thank you to the team for helping me produce this segment. For those of you that have joined me on Instagram, thank you. You can tune into kpfa.org or kpfk.org for the continuation of this segment. Woo! All right. Y'all can't see it, but my brother's on the screen now. Good morning, y'all. All right, like I said, hold on, let me find my script because there was a lot of reading. We're going to continue our conversation about Fairfield police officers' assault on a teenage boy. We're joined by Berry Accius, a community advocate, a leader, my brother from another mother. He's with Voices of the Youth. Good morning, my G.
Hey. Love is love. Busy.
I know you are. I see you up there moving and shaking and keeping the people updated on the socials about what's happening in Fairfield with this case. So for folks, I mean, I feel like everybody's...
Also graduation season.
Oh, okay.
And election season. So we juggling a lot right now. Graduation, election, we try to get people in office and position. And now we have this Fairfield situation. So we busy around here.
So for the folks, I mean, I don't know that any of my listeners don't know, because I know the kind of news that they follow, and it's everywhere. This is a story that has exploded across the country. Talk to folks about what happened to this young man in Fairfield, please.
Well, Maurice Williams on May 20th at his high school, Fairfield High School, was brutalized and attacked by Officer um, Bianca Camacho, sometimes Brown. And in this now viral video that you see this officer using excessive force, it's reopened the conversation about what policing should look like and what is considered excessive force. And in that moment, we learned a new word, a new term, which was what is it? I think it was called
distractive punches.
Distractive
There you
strikes.
go.
Right.
There, together we got
And
it.
then we looked it up, and even in the distractive strikes, you're not supposed to hit somebody in the head like that. You're not supposed to strike someone like that. And what we also found out that this isn't the first time Bianca has used excessive force. July 14th, 2025, a young 18-year-old at that particular time, white girl by the name of Maya Hamilton, was also brutalized and grabbed out of her car on just a basic traffic violation, the same way Maurice Williams was grabbed by the hair and dragged. This young lady was also dragged, and that was last year, and nobody knew anything about it. So when the family got a hold of me, the family was distraught. A lot of lies were being put out there about Maurice. Of course, the same similar thing that we're used to. He had a weapon. He was resisting arrest. He hit a teacher. He hit a cop. He was so out of control that we had to do what we had to do to maintain him. Well, he never hit a cop. He never hit a teacher. He got detained, not arrested, and there were charges that all were dropped because they weren't substantial enough because it wasn't anything that he did. So the young man is now with family. So the focus is, why is Bianca Camacho Brown on Fairfield Police? Why is she a police officer with this type of behavior? And in one of the videos that the stepmother recorded, asking, was this excessive force necessary? She admitted to punching him in the head. She admitted punching him in the face and saying that I'm okay, he's okay, we're all safe, no harm done here. The arrogance, the ignorance, the cockiness, the boldness of this statement, and saying, well, you can just go talk to my supervisor. It's like, wait a minute, talk to your supervisor. So your supervisor is condoning this behavior? Your supervisor is going to support this behavior? That's why, and excuse my voice because we've been doing a lot of moving and shaking right now in Fairfield. That's why it's so important for us to be on our job, and it was so important for me to strategize with the family as well as the Fairfield community because, as you know, we've been here before. So what we saw wasn't surprising, but what was unfortunate was the lack there of care and empathy for a 16-year-old young black male that is a star football player, a pretty average student that was attacked in what we would consider his safety nets, his school, and a video that shows his viral humiliation. So now we're on the offense and we are virally humiliating this officer if she feels her conduct was necessary.
Oh, there's so much to unpack there. I do want to mention that Ms. Bianca comes from one of my other favorite police departments to talk
Oh, okay.
about. She comes from the Vallejo Police Department. She comes from a
Uh-huh.
department where they bend badges to celebrate the murders of folks. She comes from a police department embroiled in scandals. She comes from the police department responsible for the murder of Sean Monterosa. Michelle Monterosa, his sister, was with you all
Right.
at the press
Shut
conference.
up.
So, I mean, she comes from a department that's rooted, right, in
Right.
violence and blood and assaults on community. And there's the video. So for folks that haven't seen the video, when we're talking about distracted strikes, we're talking about she held down this baby's head and was repeatedly punching him in the
Right.
face. We're
And
talking about.
remember that.
Go ahead, yeah.
Remember when she approached him, here is a young man in distress at this moment, trying to figure out what's going on. He's already being apprehended by one police officer. He's got his hands behind his back. She pulls up, doesn't say she's police, doesn't find out evaluate the situation to de-escalate it, she automatically grabs him, slams him, and commences to start beating him down. So one, you're not even approaching the situation, conducting yourself as like, okay, I'm an officer of the law. You just come in with pistols blazing. And the only fortunate thing about this moment, because you and so many of us on the ground, well, really the whole world had seen this go left. All I thought when I saw this video, please don't let this be another Oscar Grant moment. Please don't let this be another Eric Gardner, George Floyd moment. Because she could have easily, as quote unquote, she said this young man resisted, thought she took out her taser, and then actually put out her gun. And we could have witnessed the assassination of Marcus Williams. That's one of the things I don't really believe people are paying attention to, how left it could have really went.
And I need people to understand that Bianca, that's what she's on her way to doing. If she's left unchecked, she will kill somebody. She will. The biggest predictor of police violence is past violence, and she's got a. There was another video that I saw that came out of a young man that managed to record a stop with her, where she was also violent, refusing to give her badge number, right, and all of the stuff. This woman is out of control. The other thing that I thought about, Barry, and this isn't as talked about as much. So while I was watching the video, and my phone blew as soon as my phone blew up, right?
I know,
blew up. So I stopped and I watched it. What struck me would actually, in addition to watching the young man be so violently assaulted, the other thing that literally welled up emotion were all of the black and brown babies watching another black and brown baby screaming for them to stop, begging for them to stop. These babies are now also lifelong traumatized by witnessing this. Hold up though. The teachers, there are at least 2 white teachers that formed a perimeter around the cop, Bianca, as she's beating this young man senseless, to protect, to allow the beating to occur. These are the teachers are the people that are supposed to, they spend more time with teachers than they do with their families.
Right.
So as a parent, these Fairfield parents of black and brown babies are supposed to feel safe sending their babies back to the school where you got these teachers that are condoning this behavior. Has there been any conversation about holding the teachers accountable?
First of all, shout out to all the young people that immediately, before I even got started protesting, started doing walkouts. So when we held our first press conference, and I told the family we have about a 24 to 48 hour window to really flip the narrative, we did our press conference. And with our press conference, it was so amazing to see the young energy already ready, already out there, signs. I don't even know how quick they got the signs of showing the violence. And they spoke upon a lot more issues going on in Fairfield outside of just this situation with Maurice. Due to the relationship, I believe, with the family, who's actually involved, very involved at school. I think at first they didn't realize the severity and how much responsible is Fairfield High. Because if you really look at that video, Bianca, when she talked to the stepmom, said, well, we had to hold back 40 or 50 kids. Say what? As if there was going to be a riot. There could have been a riot because she was abusing a boy. You were being shielded to create abuse. And the unfortunate part about it, and the humanity side of it, when I just think about it and I just look at it, one, we as parents can't beat our children like that. No way, no how, nowhere. If I saw somebody like that doing that to a normal person in public, it doesn't matter if it's a cop or not. At that moment, I would walk and say, hey, what are you doing? Or try to do something to stop that type of abuse. The simple fact that the teachers kind of looked, and I don't know if they were shocked, I don't know if they believed that something had happened previously. The simple fact that they just stood there, and Maurice hasn't been back to school since, and have not, more than recently, reached out to the family to apologize, to check in on Maurice, to see what's going on, is an atrocity, and it speaks high volumes that you're only important on the football field. You're not important anywhere else. You can be the star on the football team, but we don't care about you as a young black male outside of you putting on that helmet. That to me is now making the family see more and more, y'all don't really mess with us like that. Because if that was the case, our baby wouldn't have been abused to that nature. And those young people traumatized are those same young people that was those COVID kids that have to watch George Floyd's murder over and over and over again. And to see that type of violence right in front of them, I think that everybody needs to get therapy at this moment in time.
They do. So there's two things I want to say to that, right? One is more people survive their violent encounters with police than die from them. And those people walk with trauma for the rest of their lives. I tell this story all the time, and I have his consent to do it. But my partner in 2008, while he was working a job, he was a cable guy. He was door knocking, doing the thing that they do. Had 6 guns pulled on him by sheriffs because a white woman saw a black dude walking through their neighborhood. Six guns to his head. To this day, and I'm not going to tell all of it, but to this day, he's dealing with the PTSD. And so we need to understand as black and brown folks, because this is a regular occurrence for us, right? From being racially profiled and put on the corner like a so-called criminal, to actual assault, to the threat of death, that this creates a cycle, a generational cycle of trauma in our communities, with manifests and all of the conditions that we see in our communities. And the other thing, and I'll shut up and let you respond, is while I love the fact that the babies were ready with the signs and they were ready to protest, the flip side of that is sort of what you just said. They are ready because this is regular, because this is a part of being black, brown, young in America, that this is what happens. And so they know because they've seen enough responses, because there's been so many incidents.
Right. I mean, and that's a truly unfortunate part. I think that the level of concern wasn't high until we put the full court pressure on them. So we exposed Bianca for the bad police that she is. We showed a pattern of violence, a pattern of abuse of power, a pattern of negligence, a pattern of excessive force. We showed that, and then we expose other things that people haven't seen or thought they was kind of settled, but really is unsettling here in Fairfield, California, a small, diverse little community. Because when you hear a statement from the chief of police almost condoning what she did without assessing the situation in true manner, calling the parents up to find what is their thoughts and explaining to them the process, as well as making sure she got information from Maurice firsthand so he could kind of evaluate the situation to make a statement that would help unify the community. What you found is one side, and with other sides are racist trolls, one side is saying that was great police work. Of course, he should have complied. You need to teach your kids better. You don't get the racist. And then another part saying that this was heinous. This is outrageous. She was overzealous. She's unhinged. This is bad policing. So now here comes the conversation again. It's almost a black and white thing. But here's a caveat. She did it to a white girl, right? She did it to a white girl as well. So I guess she's an equal opportunist. And the thing that puzzles me the most, right, when we talk about Andrew, the young man that was asking for her badge, one, I know we're not, the states doesn't force law enforcement to give badges, but most.
Yes, it does. Oh, no, yes, it does. If you ask a cop in the state of California for their badge number, they have to give it to you.
Okay. I was told that some departments in California does it, some don't. So whatever that is, when you look at her and her policing, you have on your uniform, I want to be very clear on this, you have on your uniform B. Camacho. The times that she was asked with the stepmother and Andrew, one of her victims, hey, what is your badge number or your name? She always says you can only have one, and she gives the last name of Brown. She never gives her badge number, which is interesting, because how do you give a last name of Brown when on your uniform it says Camacho? So if Fairfield chief is listening and paying attention, you're falsifying who you are, because you or me, Kat, if we're going to Hawaii to go take some rest time and my name is Berry Accius on the airplane ticket, but I have on my ID Barry Jones, I'm not getting on that airplane.
Take it one step further, Barry. Take it one step further, and then I'm gonna correct myself. What I said, if a cop asks you your name, and you give them a false name, and then they figure out that you didn't tell them the truth, what's finna happen?
Oh man, you go to jail.
You're going to jail after they beat your backside. So I looked it up. So it says, yes, uniformed police officers in California are required to display identification and must generally provide their badge number and name when asked. They must wear a badge and name plate, blah, 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 blah. There's no blanket-wide state statute, so my bad, mandating that officers verbally recite their badge number upon request. Almost every local police and sheriff's department requires it by internal policy. When asked, most officers will provide their name. So I was incorrect.
So again, the state is not regulating it, but most, because we know the trend of brutality. We know the trend of racial profiling. We know the trend of horrendous acts of death and violence, harassment to the community. So why would we not say, hey, I know what the state said, but here in this department, when someone is asking for your badge, give them your badge number. We don't want no smoke.
Because what are you hiding? What are you hiding?
Yeah, what are you hiding? That's my thing. What are you hiding to where? And let me tell you the caveat. Let me tell you the caveat. In 2025, she divorced Jody Brown, who was her significant other in 2025, and she was also a part of Vallejo PD. So did you leave Vallejo PD because of the breakup or something was going on with the lieutenant that you was dating? And why are you still, after the quote-unquote divorce, using the name that you were married to, Brown, instead of your maiden name, Camacho? Are you still holding on to maybe one day we'll get back together? The psychological warfare that's going on is insane. She's sick. She's sick. I need the people to see and understand it's not about what Maurice did, because Maurice did nothing but be black and have dreads. It's about the lack there of good police that we have still currently in some of these departments. And if you're okay with a police officer, when you want to make a complaint that tells you that her name is Brown, when if you didn't pay attention, her uniform says Camacho, and you go to that police station and you try to make a complaint and they're looking at you funny and you say, I'm trying to make a complaint on Officer Brown, do you have her badge number? No, she said her last name is Brown. Well, there's 15 other Browns here.
That part.
They're going to look at you and say, come back when you have more information. Stop playing in our face. Stop playing in our face. I need some people to start get common sense. I know some of you racist trolls want to believe all cops are going to sit there and take care of the jungle savages. We've seen the chimps. We've seen so much racism online. But when we rolled up to City Hall, nobody showed up that was talking online because we was about business. And if the city council and if the chief of police and anybody else in Fairfield want to stand by a woman that lies about her name, so there's not proper investigations or complaints made, you guys are on the hook when the blood is going to be on your hand when she then kills somebody.
Because she's gonna.
What's she gonna do? Because she's gonna kill somebody. And we need her to be decertified. Decertification. Right. Hear me when I say that, Kat. My love.
I hear you.
Decertification. We're not trying to have you move from Vallejo, Fairfield, to Oakland, to San Francisco, to Sacramento, to what? No, stop. No, you need to be decertified.
And that's the campaign, Barry. I gotta leave it there. You know, we're gonna be following this campaign closely, and we will have you back on for the next set of updates. Thank you for your rapid response and for looking out for our babies. I'll talk to you. I'll see you soon, actually.
Yes, love. Appreciate you.
All right. Peace. We've been speaking to Berry Accius, the community advocate with Voice of the Youth, in response to the beating by Bianca. I ain't gonna call her officer nothing. By Bianca in Fairfield of a 16-year-old black boy. That takes us to 8:41 in the morning here on Law and Disorder. I am your host, Kat Brooks. We are joined now by my sister from another mister, my comrade, Dr. Melina Abdullah is a professor and former chair of Pan-African Studies at California State University, Los Angeles. She is the co-founder of the Los Angeles chapter of Black Lives Matter and co-founder of Black Lives Matter Grassroots. I'm going to play a clip that will actually lead us into the conversation that we finna have. Let's roll the clip from Representative Ayanna Pressley, please.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to honor the life and legacy of Brother Andrew Joseph Jr., a father, husband, advocate, and a good man. We first met several years ago at a protest demanding an end to police violence. He, alongside his wife and partner of 28 years, Deanna Joseph, had experienced unspeakable heartbreak when their 14-year-old son, Andrew Joseph III, was killed as a result of police misconduct. Mr. Joseph turned his pain into purpose and committed to organizing with Black Lives Matter grassroots for justice at the local, state, and federal level, including advocating for the passage of my legislation, the Ending Qualified Immunity Act, to hold law enforcement accountable when they violate our rights. Our collective fight for justice was strengthened by Mr. Joseph, and he will always be remembered for his dedication to uplifting community. In addition to his wife, Mr. Joseph is survived by his daughter, Deja, who recently graduated from Howard University with honors earlier this month. On behalf of myself, my family, and my team, I extend our deepest condolences. Ashe.
Ashe, that the voice of Representative Ayanna Pressley giving condolences of the transition of Andrew Joseph Jr. He transitioned on May 16th. Dr. Melania Abdullah, you worked, we have unsung heroes in our community, right? Every day, our people stepping up to do what's needed to do to take care of us. We say that all the time. Who takes care of us? We take care of us. Andrew Joseph Jr. took care of us. And so I wanted to take the last couple of minutes of the show this morning to honor his life, to honor his legacy. You work very closely with him and his wife. So I just want to sort of turn it over to you to say what you think folks need to know about this amazing brother.
Sure. So we buried Cousin Andrew, and I call him Cousin Andrew because in the midst of struggle, Deanna, his wife, and I discovered that we are actually blood kin. And so at our first meeting, we learned, and it was at the Movement for Black Lives convening in 2015 that we first met. We looked at each other and something felt familiar. And then we did what Black folks do. We said, "Where are your people from?" And my people are from Beaumont, Texas. And her father's side is from Beaumont, Texas. And so we got some folks on the phone and discovered that we were cousins. And so he's my cousin, Andrew, in addition to being one of the greatest comrades anyone could ever ask for. He was a big man and a bigger heart. He was, in many ways, a soul, one of the souls that drives this movement forward. He talks about turning pain into purpose. You know, he talks about his son, Andrew Joseph III, as a golden child. He always say he's the kind of child parents pray for. And he was just 14 years old, hadn't even made it to high school when he was killed in Tampa, Florida, through police misconduct. And Andrew, Deanna, and Deja are all part of Justice Family, and they have organized hundreds of others of Justice families all around the world. I'm very honored, and Black Lives Matter Grassroots is very honored that when we got a little bit of money, one of the first things that we did is be able to bring Cousin Andrew on as our rapid response coordinator, our founding rapid response coordinator. So he spent the last 5 years traveling the world, advocating for justice. I'm now in Louisville. I'm trying to, step into places that Cousin Andrew would normally occupy. I pale in comparison to what he's able to do. Just kind of bringing a combination of strength and love. The thing that's not in his obituary, but we should have put it there, is he's also the greatest chanter in the world. And he just brought an energy and a love and a strength and an understanding and a brilliance that is unparalleled. And it's still unbelievable that his body is gone from us. And so as his soul ascends to the realm of the ancestors, we pray for him. And I also love one of the first people we called when it happened was Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. I love the way that she uplifted that he's a good man. He's a good man. And I thought about how he would always say, I miss my boy. And he had a chance to watch Deja graduate. The last week of his life, he watched Deja graduate. He went to Mississippi to raise hell for Jalen Lewis. And then he went home to his beloved Deanna Hardy Joseph. And at the moment of his passing, or just ahead of his passing, they had eaten soup and grilled cheese and laughed with each other. And then he died. And I just think also as we mourn, I think about that way of going. And it is a celebration of his life. He lived the last week of his life in ultimate joy. And so may he be warmly greeted by all the ancestors, but first and foremost, his son, who he misses dearly. May he be welcomed by him. And we miss him, but we'll do work in his honor.
I just want to quickly touch base on how, I mean, I can only imagine how Deanna, however, his partner of so long. I mean, I've seen some of her, now I'm getting emotional, her beautiful tributes to him on Facebook. How is the family holding on, and what is actually needed at this time from community? That's actually the more important part of the question.
So they were high school sweethearts. They've never known anyone other than each other, and they've never known life beyond childhood without each other. And so she's not okay. But anybody who knows Deanna Hardy Joseph knows that she's also very much, she's our folks.
Yeah.
She's going to keep going. And I don't want to pull her back from keeping on going. One of the things that she said is we have to do the work. We have to continue his legacy. That's what she said at the celebration of life. We have to continue this legacy. And so I think we're all called into the work in the name of Andrew Joseph Jr. I also want to lift up that it was the most beautiful homegoing I've ever been to. People drove, it was full of justice families. People drove 15 hours. We only had a couple days notice. He died on the 16th, and the homegoing was in New Orleans on the 23rd. So he died on the 16th in Tampa, but he's originally from New Orleans. And people piled into vans and drove. They didn't have lodging until they were already on the road. So it was just beautiful. I looked around and I was like, why is Curtis Blow here? But Curtis Blow was there. Like hundreds of families, movement folks, family from New Orleans was all there. One of the things, and I was very blessed, I continue to be blessed to talk to Deanna every day. And I've never buried anybody that closely before. I've never helped to plan a celebration of life. I'm going to say this because she won't. That homegoing, which was not elaborate, there was a second line, but he's from New Orleans. You got to have a second line. There was no horse-drawn carriage, no platinum-lined coffin, That homegoing celebration cost tens of thousands of dollars. And he was 54 years old. They weren't prepared for him to die. And so he had a very modest life insurance policy. So I'm going to say this before anybody sends more flowers. Cash App Deanna. That's what I would say. That's what's needed is cash. And her Cash App this is her direct Cash App, is BLM Grassroots FL. BLM Grassroots FL. They are the first family-led chapter, Black Lives Matter Grassroots. So they founded the Black Lives Matter Grassroots Florida chapter and the Black Lives Matter Grassroots Tampa chapter. So that is her personal Cash App, BLM Grassroots FL. If you have $10 or $100, please send it, because there are, I mean, I was astounded by how much it costs to fly a body, to bury a body. It's in New Orleans, so it's more expensive. You can't bury bodies in the ground. They have to be in a mausoleum above ground. And so, yeah, that's what I would say is needed. And then, please stay tuned, because we're figuring out how do we continue his legacy at Black Lives Matter Grassroots and the rapid response legacy that he carried. And so Deanna and I are putting our heads together to figure that out. So people should plug into the work and Cash App Deanna.
All right, Dr. Melina Abdullah, thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you soon.
Yes, God willing, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you,
Thank
sister.
you.
Be safe, huh?
Thank you.
We've been speaking to Dr. Melina Abdullah, professor and former chair of Pan-African Studies at California State University, Los Angeles. She's the co-founder of the Los Angeles chapter of Black Lives Matter and co-founder and director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots at